Biologically speaking, stress is, especially chronic stress, is prolonged period in which your body has cortisol. So humans are chronic stress recreators. So something happens to us, we cannot let it go because we use our complex memory systems to reproduce the emotion and the physical environment using our imagination and create stress. How could stress be good for you? Like, it doesn't make sense. People tell me all the time when I share this topic. But we really need to understand three different types of stress, like, and how it affects us, and how it influences your brain, and how certain type of stress can be really, really powerful and good for you. We don't have a lot of time. Let's get started. So this type of stress is good for you. What is the stress that I'm talking about here? And what is stress? Like, we need to understand that first. So what is stress? Stress is your body's reaction to a challenge or a demand. So it's in a physical level, it's body's reaction to a challenge or something that is demanding. So if something is demanding you, then your body is challenged, and that challenge becomes stress. Another thing is a feeling of emotional or physical tension. A tension that you're feeling in your body or in your mind is stress. Right? So that's a simple definition. It's not my definition. It is a simple definition. And I'm going to come up with some additional definitions from my side. So these things, what is acute stress, chronic stress, three types of stress. So typically people say there are two different types of stress. So if you look at it, if you learn through psychology, there will be significantly more different variations of stress. But people generally generalize and say, okay, acute stress and then chronic stress. But I added them together and created something called acute and chronic stress at the same time. I'll explain each of them one by one. So let's get started. What is acute stress? Acute stress is basically, again, you know what stress is? It's an intense feeling of emotional or physical tension for a very short period. So if that intense emotional or physical tension lasts for a very small period, maybe 4 minutes, maybe like half a day, maybe one day, let's say a week, then I call it as acute stress. Psychologists and therapists define it slightly differently. But for this conversation, that's what we do. Ideally less than a day, that is an acute stress. So zebra is in savannas of Africa. Zebra is like roaming around, grazing, and then very happy, relaxed. All of a sudden, a tiger is chasing, a lion is chasing. All of a sudden, now this zebra has to run for its life. And it's like stressed, like completely acute stress, right? And it's very intense, and it's running. It's a life or death situation. It's running. It barely escaped. Now, the zebra feels relief. And zebra is like, what if this happens again? Oh my gosh, this is becoming too difficult. A very stressful life. I have a very stressful life here. I need a therapist right now. Zebras can't do that. Why? Because they don't have that level of prediction capability in their brain. So essentially, many psychologists and neurologists call our brain a prediction machine. So human brain is a prediction machine. It is not completely true. If I could write it, prediction machine. It's a machine that predicts the future. So this is a machine that predicts the future. So this prediction machine is predicting the lion in itself. So the lion has attacked, and we just barely survived. The zebra will be like, okay, this is good. I'm hungry again, and start eating. That's what the zebra does. But the human is like, I have PTSD. And there's nothing wrong with human. I'm just exaggerating so that you really understand the difference. This is why there is a book by Sapolsky. He's a guy who lived with the baboons for almost 3 decades. And he wrote a book called Why Zebras Don't Get Ulcers. Maybe you should go check it out. Very interesting guy, a lot of clear understanding about stress. Okay, so what happens is the zebras in the world will finish their thing in 4 minutes, or around 4 minutes, and then they're relaxed. The human is that the human living being with a much higher order thinking. We have a really more advanced brain compared to a zebra. We just go to 8 hours of work and stress about that work for the next 16 hours. Fascinating, right? We have an advanced brain who's capable of doing that. Right? So I'll show you what chronic stress is, but let's get back to our definition. So we were talking about acute stress. So acute stress is the zebra, intense feeling of emotional or physical tension for a short period. It's done. All of a sudden, what happened? The zebra is relaxed. It's grazing again. The lion comes again. It's like running again for 4 minutes. It's like coming back. Just relax. So up and down, up and down. It doesn't stay. A mom giving birth to a baby, one of the most beautiful thing in the world. This is again not a psychology definition, it's my definition. It's an acute stress, right? Delivering a baby is an acute stress. What happens? There is so much for 8 hours, sometimes 6 hours, sometimes more, like intense stomach pain, and then the baby is coming out. It's kind of really painful. Good for you, because it's a great feeling. You are bringing a life to this world, right? And it's an acute stress. It's an acute stress. And the most beautiful thing of bringing life to this world is done using acute stress. Hopefully that makes sense to you. Okay. So now let's go back to the next step. Just what is chronic stress? Chronic stress is essentially, neurologically speaking, chronic stress is activation of amygdala. Our brain has something called amygdala, which is an almond-sized part of your brain. Basically in the limbic system, which is a primitive system of your brain. It is also called emotional brain. So there is a tiny almond on your right side, the back, somewhere inside here. And then there is another tiny almond on the left side. So there are two almond-sized brain parts. So for people who have chronic stress, typically they have their almonds slightly bigger. It becomes slightly bigger. So your brain has a high, if you have chronic stress, your brain has slightly higher amygdala. It's called amygdala. So if somebody was abused as a kid, like very, very strong abuse, I'm not talking about just general, regular, like a little bit spanking and those kind of abuse, but it's like if it's a heavy abuse, what happens is their amygdala grows slightly bigger, right? And when that happens, they are in trigger mode all the time. They are like, anything happens, they are like active, always looking for alert. Like, have you seen a dog or a monkey? Always like, if the dog is sitting in the car, dog is like, it's always wondering like what's happening. Huh? Okay, what else is happening? It's too super aware of things, right? So that doesn't mean dog has acute stress. I'm just giving an example. Because it is always looking for trouble. What else is going to happen next? What else is going to happen next? What else is going to happen next? Hopefully that every parent has their own limitations. So hopefully your children don't have that problem. And if you take care of your children reasonably good, they wouldn't have this problem. Okay. So as a parent, it's really important for me to say that too. Okay. So here's the thing. That will activate the amygdala, make it bigger. That is a neurology side of it. Let's look at the biology side of it. Biologically speaking, stress is, especially chronic stress, is prolonged period in which your body has cortisol. So cortisol and adrenaline, basically, adrenaline is something that activates when you see a snake or a lion, primitive situation. Imagine you are a zebra, and then you see a snake or a lion, snake probably not, but a lion, all of a sudden, your blood start pumping adrenaline into your body. Why? Because either you have to fight the snake or lion, or you have to flight. Otherwise, you will be frozen. So fight, flight, or freeze. So in this option, you have to survive yourself. In order to survive, you need to have adrenaline. That's why we have adrenaline rush. When we do adventure, that's what we feel, right? We feel that adrenaline rush in our body. So that is adrenaline. Cortisol is the same thing. Cortisol is released again to manage stress, to manage that difficult situation, to fight. Like if you have to fight, if you have to slay the dragon, if you have to fight the snake or fight the lion, you need to have cortisol too. But chronic stress is, I have a different definition for chronic stress. Chronic stress is prolonged period of cortisol activation, which means you have cortisol in your body for a long, long time. I'll bring a new distinction about that in a second, but let me finish defining. So here is the thing. A person who went to war, and so his partner die or get severely injured, could have PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. This could happen, may not be in war too. Could happen if some trauma happens to somebody. What happens is they could have that traumatic experience repeated in their mind because of our advanced nature of our brain. Another thing is work, like chronic stress. Right? You're like thinking about, oh, this boss, I cannot deal with him. This guy is my customer. Oh my gosh, this guy is like so difficult to deal with. He's always too demanding. Oh my gosh, I cannot handle this. On Sunday evening, the work hasn't even started. It's only Sunday. But even on Sunday, you cannot stand your customer. The day hasn't even started. The week hasn't even started. But the stress will show up early. So now you know the difference between chronic stress and acute stress. Let's go back. So acute stress, you already know, like short period of time, right? Short period of time, like very acute. Chronic stress is long period of time, could be acute and not acute. So acute and chronic stress, very simple, right? The simple definition is you have a really acute stress for a long period, which is really, really bad, which is really bad, like extreme PTSD. It's really bad. Like people who will wake up, they could see the real things, real things. Really they will see the war in front of them, right? Almost like hallucination. So now, what is the biggest mistake that human psychologists, therapists, a lot of mental health professionals make in the spaces? The biggest mistake is they club the acute stress and chronic stress together. They think that this both are the same thing. That's not true. So acute stress and chronic stress are different. Acute stress, if you look at it, acute stress for zebra, it helped the zebra survive. Okay. If that is the case, even Sapolsky mentioned that, the guy I was talking about, mentioned that acute stress help people survive, but I don't think he even thought about acute stress being good for people. So yes, I'm revealing acute stress is good for you. And you might be asking, like, how do I create acute stress in my life, in my body? I'll share that with you in a second. But before that, chronic stress is horrible for us. It's horrible for humans. So in a way, human body and mind, in a way, is chronic stress manufacturers. We are manufacturing chronic stress on a day-to-day basis. Think about it this way, right? I mean, the idea of our brain, we have a really sophisticated brain. We have a brain stem and then limbic system. We have a crocodile lizard type part of the brain, which we share with crocodiles and lizards. And then we have a little bit brain that we share with monkeys and with mammals, which is the neocortex, which is this part of the brain. And then we have prefrontal cortex. We have a little bit of cortex in front. Monkeys have a little bit of that. And then we have our own uniqueness, the front area, mid prefrontal cortex, which we have as humans. Monkeys don't have our foreheads. Monkeys' foreheads are recessed. It's inside. It doesn't go outside like this, right? It goes inside. If you look at a monkey, next time you will see that. Monkeys will look at it and say, oh my gosh, what a bad thing these humans have. They have way too much forehead. It's very ugly, right? So what happens is we have this fascinating brain, which is much better than zebras. So zebra has this like average brain, okay? And you have this fascinating brain. You are a human. I'm assuming that humans are listening to this mostly. You have an amazing brain. And this amazing brain is recreating the lion. So humans are chronic stress recreators, chronic stress manufacturers. So something happens to us, we cannot let it go because we use our complex memory systems to reproduce the emotion and the physical environment using our imagination and create stress. Why do we have this faculty? Why do we have imagination? The purpose of imagination is to create things. That same thing can be used for purpose of imagination is to create things that can be used for destroying things too. Through chronic stress, we are destroying our future in some way through heart attack or other issues, other health issues, and so on and so forth. So here's the thing: nuclear power is really good. Okay, we could have after Einstein, we could have E energy equals mc square. So mass times the square of the velocity of light. It's a ton of energy from a really tiny particle. Okay, we can use it for what? We can use it for creating electric power. The entire world can be, you know, can be lightened using very little, very small quantity of material. If we figure out how to do this uh, for regular materials, not just uranium. If that's the case, we could light up the entire world, but we could use this to destroy the entire world too. This is the power of human imagination, right? Human imagination can actually create or destroy. Okay, so we will go back into the idea of um, the biggest mistake I already told you. Like the biggest mistake is that we are focused too much into bringing it together and putting it all in one bucket. So we make this big mistake. So humans are chronic stress creators, right? So what stress is good for you? Acute stress. And how do you create acute stress in your body? It's so easy. I'm going to tell you that in a second. But before that, if you're a business person listening to it, and most of my people are business people, every 3 months, I have something called 30-day sales with Ruble, which is a group that I have through WhatsApp. I'm teaching you how to master sales. I'm seeing that all over the world, people are losing money. People are not growing their business because they don't know how to grow sales. They don't know how to close. They don't know how to handle pricing objections. They don't know how to handle rejection. They don't know how to close and how to get people to buy from them. Because of that, I see so many people are losing money, losing their businesses, losing their opportunities and dream in life. That's why I am doing every 3 months, I'm doing 30-day sales with Ruble. So if you want to be part of that, and if you want to download my book, 90 Days Life, which has been read by more than 250,000 people right now, all over the world, you could actually get that by clicking the link below, and this will reduce your stress significantly, especially the chronic stress of not making enough money. So if you want to try that, just go to the link and download it, and I will see you on the other side while I teach you the sales techniques that could transform your life. Okay, now here is a little bit of neurology. It's very simple. There is a special part of our brain called mid-prefrontal cortex. So all animals have brain, but as we progress in our intellect and become human, the humans have a special kind of part in their brain. So imagine this is your brain. This is a front, forehead. This is the back of your head. This is the top of your head. Sorry, I didn't mean to hurt you. Okay, so, and this part, if you put like this thumb here, and it should go like this to imagine that, and then you close your brain, close your hand like this. Basically, your brain, this is like a hand model of your brain. This is a concept that is like a simple concept developed by Daniel Siegel. Daniel Siegel is an amazing guy in terms of neurology and also in psychology. So these two fingers are the mid-prefrontal cortex. So if this is your entire brain, mid-prefrontal cortex is this. This is what defines you as a human. Mid-prefrontal cortex is attributed to most of your human nature. So your humanness lies essentially here. In that mid-prefrontal cortex, there is a portion called, just like amygdala, there is a left portion and a right portion of anterior mid-cingulate cortex, which means there is a tiny part of your front middle of your forehead. There is a left and a right anterior mid-cingulate cortex. So what happens is when you stress, when you have acute stress, which I'm going to explain, I'm going to give you examples on how to do this. And when you are in acute stress position, just like the zebra, but zebras don't have this, your anterior mid-cingulate cortex grows bigger. Your anterior cingulate cortex will grow when you are doing certain things that generate acute stress. So things that you don't like doing, that's what actually creates the activation of anterior mid-cingulate cortex. Let's call it AMC. So this AMC, which is in the front part of your brain, will grow as you do certain things. So let's go look at like what are some of the things that you could do that will generate this acute stress in your body that will help you move to the next level. One is fasting. So if you're eating for a period that is less than 12 hours, you are fasting. 12 hours, if you're not eating, you're fasting. 14 hours, 16 hours, some people fast for 20 hours, some people fast for 23 hours. I don't recommend that, but fasting is something that will help you create acute stress in your body. You're stressing your body. You're not giving food when it's hungry, right? It's not comfortable doing, but your anterior cingulate, mid-cingulate cortex, AMC, will grow. HIIT, if you don't know HIIT, then it is high intensity interval training. High intensity interval training is good for you because that's going to help you activate your body really fast. Essentially, what you're doing is, let's say if you're going on a treadmill, you go on treadmill, and if you're in the US, what you do is you go on, let's 8 to 12 mile per hour for 30 seconds. If you can do that, check with your doctor before you do this. And 8 to 12 mile per hour, you're going really, really fast. And then for 90 seconds, you go on 1.5 to very, very slow speed, 90 seconds. Again, 8 to 12 mile per hour. Again, 90 seconds, really low speed. High speed, low speed. 6 times, all of a sudden, your workout is done. Pretty much, it could be done in like 12 minutes. And in that 12 minutes, you would have achieved more exercise results, muscle building, and you will, if you're a man, you will increase your testosterone. If you're a woman, you will reduce your testosterone. Both good for you, according to who you are, and it will increase your metabolism. It does gazillion things, right? Gazillion things. It's really valuable for you. Sports, same thing. Tennis is acute stress too. If you look at it, it is acute stress because you're stressing your body for a very short period. Sports essentially is designed for acute stress, whether we know it or not. Next thing is rebouncing. Rebouncing, now the screen is rebouncing, but let's rebounce the thing itself, rebouncing. So if you're going up and down on a rebouncer, what you're doing is basically you're going up against the gravity. There reaches a point where you are floating for a moment, for a really tiny second, tiny part of a second. So you're floating. That is good for your body. And you're actually pressing your body against the floor and you're going back again. So this compresses your cells and actually releases fat from your body. And it's good for you. So actually your cells become more healthy. You are as healthy as your cells. So when your cells becomes healthy, by the bang, 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 all of a sudden, it helps you create acute stress in your body. Ice bath and sauna. If you go on a sauna, really high temperature, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, your body heats up and sweats out, your lymphatic system is activated, then, it's really good for you. It really activates you. Go from there. Opposite, ice bath. Ice bath, when you do ice bath, you're stressing your body. Again, you might not like doing ice bath. I mean, you might never like doing ice bath other than the fact that you feel good afterwards. Generally speaking, exercise, you don't like doing exercise for most people, for most part, but when you do like that, your AMC starts growing, right? So ice bath is really good for you. Ice bath will help you create acute stress in your body. Your body reactivates, gets younger in multiple dimensions and go from there. And you could actually study Wim Hof method, WHIM, I think, HOF method. He teaches some breathing techniques too. Fruits and vegetables. Fruits and vegetables actually go through really stressful period. Why? Because daytime, sun, night, cold, and then sometimes cold, sometimes ice, sometimes snow, sometimes rain, sometimes sheep, sometimes insects, fly, different animals attacking, especially organic fruits and vegetables. That is really influencing its energy. And because of that, if you eat those vegetables and fruits, it will help you create that chronic stress. Because of that, it will create more health in your body. It's one reason for eating fruits and vegetables, especially vegetables. So especially for grape, there is something on grape skin. There is an ingredient called resveratrol, which is proven for anti-aging. There are people here in the US take resveratrol as a thing that to help them with anti-aging. Resveratrol. Intense work. Most of the time, people thought that work is horrible for you. Like, oh, I don't like to work Mondays. I hate Mondays. I love Fridays. You know what? You hate them, right? And if you hate your work and if you still do it like with passion, then basically it's an intense acute stress as long as you know how to turn it off. If you don't turn it off, it becomes chronic stress for a long time. Makes sense? If you know how to turn off your work Saturdays and Sundays, then your work itself could be an acute stressor that would help you. Sudden moves. If you move your body really fast, right? If you move body really fast, like karate, like kung fu, taekwondo, anything that will help you move your body fast, or just simply moving your body, like doing some power movements that will actually help you activate your body, essentially it's a stress reducer. That is exactly what the zebras are doing, moving their body really fast so that they release cortisol out of their body. Habit building, it's really good for you. Habit building is really good for you. Habit building, essentially, it's a stressor for the mind. It's an acute stressor for the mind. Your mind will get stressed for some period. Oh my gosh, I am becoming a new person. I was this habit. Now I need to become this habit. It's really challenging. First week, second week, third week, fourth week, it becomes okay. Until then, your anterior AMC is actually building really fast. It's actually becoming bigger. And here is a fascinating fact. People who live longer, the drive to live longer, one of the reason is having a high AMC. Once you have a good AMC, a big AMC, the probability of living longer is higher because you will have the drive to live longer. Okay. Now, deep emotions. Finally, deep emotions are really good for you. Why? Because deep emotions will help you connect with yourself. Let's say if you feel sadness, feel sadness. If you feel angry, feel angry. If you feel romantic, feel romantic. If you feel love, feel love. Whatever you feel, if you deeply feel it, what happens is it goes out of you. If you hold anger within you, then the anger stays with you, it becomes chronic stress. If you keep sadness within you, the sadness stays with you and it becomes depression. Makes sense? Allow these deep emotions to pass through you. So essentially, acute stress is allowing it to pass through you, like without fighting, without judging, allowing it to pass through you. When you do that, then these emotions become complementary instead of being destructive. Even sadness, once you cry for some time, what happens? You feel good. You feel great, right? Because you feel, oh, I cried for some time. I feel good now, right? Because the body is releasing all the unnecessary hormones and unnecessary stress from your body, and you feel good. That's what you do. So these are the 9 things that you could do: fasting, HIIT sports, rebouncing, ice bath, and sauna, fruits and vegetables, intense work, sudden moves, habit building, deep emotions. I will see you on the next video.